gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's February the 1st, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined today by Izubee Charles as we discuss the news of the day, presented this morning by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. Izubee, Matt Shodell is sleeping in today in protest. You want to know why? Because it's National Signing Day, the big day in college football recruiting. And the Miami Hurricanes aren't signing anybody, at least not as far as we know. And that makes Matt very unhappy because he always looks forward to National Signing Day. So he sent in the word last night very pointedly. I am not waking up at 5 a.m. to talk about National Signing Day. That is going to be a non-event here in Coral Gables. So it's just you and I. And you know what we're going to do? We're not going to talk about National Signing Day either. We're going to talk about Canes basketball because the Watsco Center last night was rocking. And man, what a basketball game that everybody there and watching on television was treated to. You had a Virginia Tech team that was hot. They had just beaten Duke. They came in and they were on fire, man. They were raining in threes from all over the place in the first half. And Miami was playing well. And I think they led by 1 at halftime. And your thoughts just on how things evolved early, and then we'll talk about the second half.
Yeah, Virginia Tech came out like some guys on a mission, 2 big wins from Duke and Syracuse. And it looked like, they're just coming out shooting well. At one point, they were shooting, I think, 70% from the field. And you just kind of looked at the box score and was like, there's no way they can keep this up. I mean, they kept it up because they were just taking excellent shots, really efficient offense. And, Miami just hung in there. Isaiah Wong was doing Isaiah Wong things, had 14 or 16 points in the first half. He was just getting around near the basket, doing his things. Bensley Joseph came on the bench, was awesome defensively. I feel like that kind of swung the momentum of the game because Virginia went on an early run, 8-0, went up 13-6 on Miami. Bensley Joseph comes in, AJ Casey comes in, Harlan Beverly comes in. So those bench guys had a really, really big factor in that first half that, led Miami to going into the locker room with a 1-point lead, which set up a great, great second half that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sitting down there watching all this, and I'm thinking, man, this is awesome because they've been losing a lot of close games, and, they need to get ready for March. I mean, let's face it, this is a basketball team that's got a chance to do big things in March, okay? It's built for March. It's built for the ACC tournament. It is built for the NCAA tournament. And but they've been losing close games on the road, just not quite as sharp as they need to be in pressure situations. So I think that all the pressure that they can face in this last month of the regular season is a good thing. And they're going to have to obviously win their share of games to secure their spot in the tournament. But I think they will do that. And I think that being under the type of pressure that they were under last night, that the Hokies provided all the way to the very end, will make them a better team. And I think that was exhibited in the second half. I'm sitting down there, Izubee, and I said to the guy I was sitting with, I said there were 8 minutes left in the game. It was tight, and I said, you know what? They need to put they need to put Nigel Pack back in this basketball game. And boom, just like that, they put Nigel Pack back in the game, and he reined in 5 3-pointers in a couple minutes. He scored 17 points in what I think was like a 4-minute span, and absolutely took over the basketball game. And I think that's got to do a ton for his confidence. It's got to do a ton for the confidence that his teammates have in him. And Izubee, I think that is the type of performance that this team needs to get from somebody not named Isaiah Wong to start fulfilling its potential and not feeling like Isaiah Wong is the only guy that can get it done when the game's on the line.
100%. I was kind of scrolling on Twitter, checking my news feed during the game, and I see people, Nigel Pack, there's no
No, you
points.
weren't. You were checking Tinder, seeing if you got any dates this weekend. Who you lying to?
That too a little bit. Got to stay focused on the task at hand. But a lot of people, calling for Nigel Pack, saying, "Hey, where's this guy? He's Casper right now. He's a ghost. He's non-existent." And then he just goes on fire, just three after three after three, and you just see the crowd. Everyone just slowly starts looking around, like, "What just happened?" Everyone's standing up. The crowd is going crazy. You could tell he's feeling it. He's taking shots from anywhere. He said, "I felt so good. I feel like I could have made a shot from half court." And it just looked like that. Everything he was putting up for that 5 minute span was just finding the bottom of the net. And I feel like that was exactly what Miami needed after his, kind of slow first half. He took one shot, didn't hit anything, but he really, really was Miami needed in that second half, especially because Isaiah Wong kind of, whatever Virginia Tech did, held him 2 points in that second half. So what Pack did in that second half, in that 5 minute stretch, was just awesome to see.
I mean, he wasn't involved. Like it was like he wasn't even in the game. It was like he was sleeping. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And Virginia Tech was playing some decent defense too at times, but it was a scoring fest, no doubt about it. Virginia Tech tried to hang in there when Pack went nuts, and they did for a little bit. But I thought they got tired down the stretch. Izubee, the last like few minutes of the game, they couldn't make a shot after shooting lights out the whole night. They had exerted an incredible amount of energy trying to keep up with a better Miami team. There's no question about it. And, they kind of ran out of gas at the end. But to their credit, they did a good job. And that's a team right now. They're a little bit behind the eight ball in the ACC. They got 9 games left. They better get busy if they want to make the tournament. Not looking very good for them. But they are going to give some teams problems here in the second half of the season now that they are whole and fully healthy. I was very impressed with them on last night. So now the Canes basketball team goes to play first place Clemson in on the road on Saturday afternoon. And man, I'll tell you, talk about another real gut check test for this team. This is it, man. Like this is a chance for them to show that, hey, we've lost some close games. We kind of screwed up our season in terms of winning the ACC regular season title, but you better watch out for us in March. And this is a chance to make a statement Saturday on the road. Your thoughts?
100%. I mean, hopefully the fate changes a little bit because, Miami's last 3 road games on a Saturday ended, one possession games down the stretch. But Clemson's coming off a tough loss versus Boston College last night. So I expect them to be full force and ready to go versus Miami as they look to bounce back and kind of establish or continue their pace as they look to be ACC regular season champs sitting at the top of the conference right now.
You're way better for this show than Matt. Matt sits there and just argues with everything I say. He's got a counterpoint to everything, every point that I make. You say 100% every time I speak, and I love it, man. It's like this is like being on vacation here this morning. I might even go back to sleep here after we're done with this show. All right, it is National Signing Day, so we will switch gears here for a moment and talk a little bit about the non-eventful day that today is. But we do have a story on the website today that makes the point that it should not diminish in any way the work that Miami did over the previous year in recruiting. They do have the 6th-ranked recruiting class coming into this morning in the On3 team rankings. And Izubee, you were all concerned that they haven't really been able to add to what they put up on the board in December here in the second half cycle of recruiting announcements?
I wouldn't say any much concern with that. I feel like Miami hit the nail on the positions of needs and the guys that they wanted to get in early. And I feel like it's better that they, got over all this stress in December and don't have to, wait it out and pull hair away until that last second today to kind of see, hey, is this guy going to come to us? Hey, is this guy, what are we doing? So I feel like getting the guys in early in National Signing Day in December, early National Signing Day, I should rather say in December, is much better waiting that, hey, waiting game, just tick-tock, and just get those guys in. Half those guys right now in that class are at Miami right now. So you can't beat that, getting those guys in really early rather than waiting out.
It's amazing how things have changed. I mean, we've had CaneSport for a long time, and CaneSport is now going on 30, I think like 32 years, man, believe it or not. I mean, can you imagine that, Izubee? We were doing CaneSport before you were born, man. It's like we were a tabloid newspaper that we used to print. There was no internet back then. Nobody went online. Nobody had cell phones in their hands and things like that. We were just like, everything was newspapers, man. So we put out a newspaper. But the one thing we did do is we had a 900 line. And the way it used to work is you used to be able to call a 900. It was a 900 number, like a long distance phone call. And I would make recordings with recruiting news. And it was the funny thing. Like, so we would put out these recordings, and then all day long, people would call that 900 number to hear the reports on what was going on in recruiting. And there was nothing like this first Wednesday in February, National Signing Day. We would get phone calls all year round, but on National Signing Day, I mean, the phone lines to say they would blow up would be unbelievable. And these 900 lines, and people used to use 900 lines for all kinds of stuff, horoscopes and different things. Remember, there's no internet. There's no other way to do these things. It's amazing how technology evolves. But so we, like, the National Signing Day for us was like the day we paid the light bills, man. It's like people they used to pay like 99 cents a minute, something like that, to listen to these recruiting reports. Yeah, no, it was expensive. I mean, it was the only way that we survived back then. I mean, that was one of our revenue pieces, because all we had was our little tabloid newspaper. Other than that, so but we used to have this 900 line. People would be calling it all day long to get the up-to-minute information on recruiting. Well, things have changed quite a bit, because here we are. Darn good thing we're not relying on 900 lines anymore, Izubee, to pay your salary, for example, because we would be in some serious dog doo-doo. Okay, like we would be in big trouble because there is nothing happening today. So we do have a story on the website written by Matt, who is sleeping in protest of nothing going on in National Signing Day. And what we talk about is all the great things that Miami did get done in recruiting up to this point. So make sure you check that out. All right, we got some other stories to talk about today. But first, we're going to hear from our friends at Life Wallet. And in honor of Izubee, who's still young enough to appreciate the Cavender twins, I'm going to play the Cavender twins commercial.
Hey sis, want to play one-on-one? What about 3-on-3? Let's do it. You're not Haley. Wait a minute.
Life Wallet user not detected.
I knew it.
Secure your health information and privacy with Life Wallet. Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
Pretty good commercial, huh, Izubee?
I give it a 10 out of 10 if I do say
I bet when you're sitting there and you're pretending to be working at the basketball game and you're really on Tinder looking for your dates this weekend, I bet you would take Hannah or Haley Cavender 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
No questions asked. No questions asked.
All right, sorry to I don't want to make you blush there, Izubee. But anyway, so we do have other stories on the website this morning that we can talk about. And one of them is on 4-star running back. Listen, a guy that I think, he is already a 4-star running back, maybe even has a chance to eventually become a 5-star. And that is St. Thomas Aquinas's Stacey Gage. And Izubee, I don't know that we saw a lot of St. Thomas this year, but Stacey Gage is a kid that was making noise in Broward County. And there will be other guys that emerge at running back in South Florida. There always are. But I haven't even asked you this question, so I'm going blind here. Have you heard much in your travels about Stacey Gage?
Well, Stacey, him being a former IMG guy his sophomore year, than playing in Tampa last year. he's kind of the new kid on the block down in South Florida, coming to St. Thomas Aquinas, who are fresh off, fourth straight state championship, and he's really excited to, join that winning program for his senior year. And I feel like him kind of being in South Florida now kind of gives Miami a little bit more of an advantage to, really get to see this kid, really get to, make an impact on his recruitment and kind of just get him around campus more since he's located 30, 40 minutes away from Coral Gables. But everyone I've spoken to at St. Thomas Aquinas, players, coaches, are really excited to get Stacey Gage into that offense and kind of look for him to, be that driving force for the fifth state championship.
Now, another story we have is on American Heritage 2025 tailback Byron Lewis. And, all the focus was on Mark Fletcher out at Heritage this year. I mean, he was the man, no doubt about it. Miami was fortunate enough to get him. Byron Lewis was a kid that you did get to see a little bit of. You spent a lot of time out at Heritage. What were your thoughts on him when you had the chance to see him play?
What I love from him is with him being so young and just how poised and possessed he was, being behind a guy like Mark Fletcher, who's rushed for almost 2,000 yards. That's, kind of a lot of guys would be like, oh man, I don't want to wait my turn. I'm going to transfer out. I don't want to be, the second guy. But Byron was, hey, I'm going to learn everything from this great back that I can. And for the next 2 years, be that guy at American Heritage. And it's funny because I asked him about, hey, just what are your thoughts on the recruitment process picking up? He's like, I guess word got around that I'm up next. So I'm really excited to, see how this goes. And he told me, he's like, hey, if Mark, starts producing really early at Miami, that may factor into my decision looking at the Hurricanes. So fingers crossed, Mark does some big things his freshman year, and in that 2025 class, the Hurricanes end up with Lewis. But I really love his game, real all around back.
Kind of hard being the next man up after Mark Fletcher, a lot of, do you think that comes with a lot of pressure for him? I mean, being next man up in sports is never an easy thing, when you're following somebody that had the type of career that Mark had at Heritage. Does he feel like, do you sense that he's feeling pressure?
I don't believe so, because with him and Mark, that relationship they had was kind of like a big brother, little brother. And even behind Mark, he still ran for, I think, 11 touchdowns. I think Mark had 20 plus, he had 11. So he was still putting up numbers behind Mark Fletcher. And with that American Heritage offense, they're pounding the rock, play in and play out. So I feel like that transition is going to be smooth going from Fletcher to Lewis.
All right, we also catch up today with Las Vegas Arborview 2024 receiver David Washington. You've been seeing a ton of recruiting updates on these 2024, 2025 kids. I know that everybody out there is just not into all this yet. It's like a big puzzle maze for you guys with a lot of fog. I mean, Miami's offered dozens on top of dozens on top of dozens of kids the last few weeks. And, we're still learning who they are as well. We're still feeling our way through it, trying to figure out who the real deal dudes are and not, obviously all these offers that are out there are not going to end up being serious recruits. They're kind of just like offering, just an enormous number of guys. But this David Washington kid has the Hurricanes already trending in the right direction. So make sure you check out that story. There's also a new update on the site this morning on top 20 2025 prospect Fahim Delane out of Olney, Maryland, Good Counsel High School. He has a Miami offer, says the Canes are an intriguing option for him. And Izubee, one of the things I'm seeing a lot of is out of South Florida offers. Miami is looking everywhere for players. There does not seem to be a lot of elite prospects in South Florida in this next cycle. It's bizarre.
Yeah, that's one thing we've talked about quite a few times, Gary. Just outside of the Jeremiah Smith, JoJo Traders, Chance Robinsons, that fall off from, top 50 to 100 guys, we're usually seeing, 10, 15 South Florida guys. It's really just like a real big drop off. And you're kind of like, maybe these kids are, some late bloomers in that 2024 class. But like you said, Miami's really, really, recruiting outside of the state of Florida with Good Counsel in Maryland. I believe there's 4 or 5 guys at that school that have offers from the University of Miami just in the 2024 class alone. And if you look out on the West Coast, Mater Dei's another school. Miami's really been recruiting hard as of late with Xavier Brown and a few other 2025 and 2026 guys. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing that, they're not hammering as much in South Florida as they possibly have in the past. But I do like to see Miami going out to the West Coast, going up a little bit north to Maryland, just trying to find the best guys all around the country to make this team a real contender and a real big program.
And, you know, the reality of it is, I mean, there's going to be more guys from South Florida emerge. I mean, there just is. South Florida always has prospects. So I think by the end of spring practices, when teams start getting, there's a lot of transfer activity going on out there. Kids are changing schools like college players, Izubee. It's crazy. Once all that settles and kids are at their new schools and they go through spring practice and things like that, I think you'll start to see some more players emerging on the Miami radar. So, we'll obviously be all over that as it evolves. All right. One other thing that is on the website this morning is the continuation of our CaneSport 30 for 30 series, ranking the top 30 Miami Hurricanes with 30 or more reps of experience. We are finally getting down to the wire here, and we have your update today and analysis on a guy that we've got penciled in at number 2, and that is offensive line transfer Javion Cohen. And he's going to be a big deal for the Miami offense this year. You could bet the ranch on it. Imagine that. A starting offensive lineman from Alabama has come to be a Miami Hurricane. All right, well, that's going to do it for our show today. On the count of 3, I want everybody to join me in giving a big round of applause for Izubee, who I thought was a phenomenal replacement for Matt Shodell. We may have to make this a habit, Izubee. This was a pretty good show. It's some people will, we're 21 minutes. When Matt's on the show, it's usually 40 because he hogs so much airtime. He doesn't get direct and to the point. He assumes that everybody is commuting from Palm Beach down to Miami for their jobs, that they just got all day to listen to all the drivel that he shoots into the show, that his fan club and cult following, they soak in every last word. So the show usually is twice as long as this one ended up being. But there will be some people with a shorter commute that appreciate the 22-minute now length of the show. So if you like this show, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube, grow our audience. And of course, if you love all the work that Izubee does, we want you as a subscriber at CaneSport.com. I promise you, we will give him a raise. And come on and become a CaneSport.com subscriber. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every single day. So for Izubee Charles, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you, everybody, for joining us once again. Enjoy the website today, and we'll see you next time.